Thanks for logging on again today to Christ Notes. Again, I say again, I hope you've been here before. And if it's your first time, thanks for logging on now. We're going to continue talking out of Galatians, continuing to talk about our freedom, continuing to talk about just how great our Father has made us, that there are no laws anymore for us to break, so that our Father can now completely use us. To what Jesus said, do the works that I did and even greater works. Like he says, I'm returning for a glorious church without spot, wrinkle, or blemish, or any such thing. To be glorious. Remember, Jesus says, the glory I have, I've given to you. How can he do that? There's no laws anymore that we're breaking. We are now under the covenant of faith. The covenant made with Abraham 430 years before there was ever any laws given. We live in that freedom to where we sit back and say, Father, it's got to be all you. You have to be the one working in us. So if we read out of Galatians chapter 5, verse 1, Paul writes, now in our freedom, in this freedom, Christ has made us free. He has completely liberated us. Completely. We have no relationship whatsoever anymore with rules and laws. They have been done away for us. Jesus has made a show of them. He took them, he nailed them to the cross, and he triumphed over them. He has now allowed us to be grafted into himself. We've been raised up together with him. We sit now together with Jesus. We're one. The two have become one flesh. There's no separation between us at all anymore. There's no laws or rules to be broken that could ever separate us from Christ. We have been completely, not just a little bit, liberated. And notice how it says past tense. It's happened. We're not waiting for heaven for this to happen. It's already happened. Christ has liberated us. So think about that. Think of now how the love, because there's nothing, we're liberated, we're completely liberated. The perfect love of our Father can now flow from us like rivers of living water to help all of those around us. Whether they deserve it or not makes no difference. Grace can abound from us. Whether people believe it or accept it or want it or any of that. We have been completely liberated. So now we can stand fast in that. We never have to go back to laws or rules. And do not be hampered and held and snared again to the yoke of slavery which you have once put off. Don't go back to 10 Commandments. Remember, the covenant of law was never for the Gentile. It was only for the Jews. So if you're a non-Jewish person, the law never applied to you anyway. Don't go back to law. Don't go back to rules. You've been completely liberated. I know how that sounds. I do. I know that you sit back and say, there's got to be some guidelines, Brad. It only makes sense. No, there's not. Because as long as we believe that we have rules or laws, or God has placed these rules or laws on us, we are going to break them, and there is always going to be condemnation. It is only when the Holy Spirit enlightens us and gives us the truth that sets us free, that says there is no law anymore for you to break, is that the very things that you don't want to do are going to stop. But as long as you think there's a law that says you can't do them, you're going to do them. But when you realize there isn't, that's when the Holy Spirit will then stop those very things from happening, because you're now living by faith under the truth, which is the covenant that we have. The truth is there is no longer any old covenant. It's been done away with. It is no longer in existence. There's now a new covenant. Jesus brought it in. We can't help but be successful. Paul goes on, he says, notice it is I, Paul, who tells you that if you receive circumcision, Christ will be of no profit, advantage, or avail to you. For if you distrust him, you can gain nothing from him. So circumcision represents the law. If you go and you believe that you have to keep laws, Christ will be of no profit to you. If you believe the 10 Commandments are still in being for you, Christ is of no profit to you. If you believe that you have to go to church on a certain day, or pray a certain way, or believe a certain denomination, or be a member of a certain denomination, or wear your hair a certain way, or your clothes a certain way, to be justified with our Father, or eat certain foods, or give a certain amount of money. Christ is of no profit to you. Why? Because we have been completely liberated. You cannot, oil and water do not mix. You cannot, a little leaven, a little law, will leaven the whole lump. But little faith the size of a grain of mustard seed, that'll leaven the whole lump too. That's the truth. We are under a covenant of faith, which means, Father, you have to teach us everything. Father, you have to use us whatever way you want to use us. If anything's going to happen through us, Father, it's because you have to cause it to happen. The burden is his. We cast our cares on him. And it's not that we're puppets or robots. It's just like my hand. My hand, that's how the hand has a relationship with the head, with Brad. It's not a slave. It's not a puppet. It's just part of the body. And that's how the body works. That we are not the head. Jesus is the head. So we expect everything to come from him. It's got to be totally and completely him. So I hope that helps you. Thanks for logging on as always. Be blessed today in the power of our Father's might. And you know what? I say that, but the truth really is we cannot help but be blessed today in the power of our Father's might. Have a great day.